The ongoing year 2022 is poised to be the year of election as the government is all geared up to hold 3 tiers of election this year. The parties have started hectic parleys for electoral alliance for the local level polls that is scheduled under 2 months' time to begin with. In the meantime, the Apex Court has issued an interim order not to implement the earlier ruling that required local body representatives to resign from their post if they are seeking a re-election. Good morning, I am Bipashna Tamang and these are the headlines of the hour. The Nepali Congress starts legwork to forge electoral alliance in all the 753 local levels for the approaching polls. Congress Central Committee to take an official decision this Friday. The Election Commission all poised to strictly implement the Election Code of Conduct and ensure the polls will be fair and fearless. President Zelensky says talks between Ukraine and Russia are confrontational but moving forward as the West to announce more sanctions amid a worsening humanitarian crisis. And former Nepal cricket captain Paras Khadka judged Sportsperson of the Decade. Women's football team forward Sabitra Bhandari voted the best female sportsperson. The ruling bloc led by Nepali Congress has started the legwork to forge electoral alliance in all these 753 local levels for the approaching local polls. An agreement in this regard was reached between the 3 top brass leaders of the government to forge an equation for the 6 metropolis and 11 sub-metropolis. Prime Minister and Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba, Maoist Center Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal and Unified Socialist Chairman Madhav Kumar Nepal held a meeting at Baluatar yesterday as the 3 leaders discussed how the electoral alliance at the local levels can be worked out. The 3 parties, however, could not agree on making an alliance at places won by CPN-UML or forging an alliance in terms of the strengths of the parties. Unified Socialist Chairman Nepal had staked claim for the metropolis won by CPN-UML, while Prime Minister Deuba had urged Nepal to give up on the claim. Meanwhile, Mao Center Chairman Pushpa Kamal Dahal also urged Congress President Deuba to take a decision on party collaboration for the upcoming polls at the earliest. Nepali Congress is currently working on a strategy of forging an alliance with all the ruling parties and not let Janata Samajwadi and Rashtriya Jana Morcha to divert to the opposition CPN-UML. Congress has also said that an official decision on this will be taken by the party's Central Committee meeting on 25th of March, Friday. Earlier, the parties in the ruling bloc had started taking decisions single-handedly on electoral alliance due to the prolonged indecision of Nepali Congress. The Election Commission's Code of Conduct for the upcoming local level polls is coming into effect from the first week of April. The Commission is preparing to conduct discussions for the same at the provincial level ahead of its implementation. However, it may be noted that due to the lack of monitoring and action, Code of Conducts have been breached in most of the previous elections in the country. More in this report.
The Commission has said the implementation of the Code of Conduct will be strictly monitored at all the 753 local levels and has formed monitoring committees at all its tiers. The Commission has said any vehicles used against the Code of Conduct will be confiscated and committees will take action against any parties promoting misleading messages. However, political analysts, given the poor track record, have raised question on what they call weakening credibility of Election Code of Conduct. The Code of Conduct issued this time around has already met with flack as the Commission has made it mandatory for any office bearer to resign if they want to contest in the upcoming polls, among other requirements. It is yet to be seen if the parties will abide by all the requirements put forth by the Commission.
The government has made preparations to lift the ban for Nepali migrant workers to work as domestic help in the Gulf countries. Minister for Labour Krishna Kumar Shrestha, who is currently in his visit of the Gulf countries, has assured the authorities of reaching an improved labour agreement to lift the ban on domestic help category for migrant workers. Qatar, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates and Kuwait, among other countries, have been demanding the lifting of the ban. Nepal's parliamentary committee had imposed a ban until another agreement to protect Nepali women working as domestic help from abuse. At next month's renewal of a bilateral labour agreement with Qatar, the Ministry of Labour is to introduce a separate arrangement for domestic help. The ban is also likely to be lifted for countries who recruit a significant number of migrant workers for domestic help. Meanwhile, assurance of social security, workplace safety, health-related aspects and insurance are also to be included in the new labour agreement with the Gulf countries. Pure drinking water is the right of everyone. However, around 96% of the citizens are still denied purified drinking water in Nepal. In such a situation, the government target of providing purified drinking water to 20% of the population in the next 2 years appears a tough task. With the water sources drying up in the hills and the depleting underground water level in Tarai, public are facing increasing shortage of water. More in this report.
Local residents of hilly districts in Nepal are compelled to spend hours in the morning just to collect a bucket of water, which is not adequate for the entire day. Not even 20% of households of Thankuta, Terathum, Songkhwasaba and Bhojpur in the east have access to drinking water. The government has claimed that 94% of the population have access to water for basic purposes and has an ambitious target of providing access to purified drinking water for 20% of the population in the next 2 years. However, most projects related to drinking water are stranded as the government has barely spent 35% of the 35 billion 440 million rupees budget allocated for the same. Implementation of such projects remain a challenge despite the government objective of providing purified water to 50% population in a decade and the entire population in the next 30 years.
In this context, in our Public Voice segment, we had asked in several provinces what should be done to raise public's access to clean drinking water. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
पानी छान्न पर्यो फिल्टर गर्नु पर्यो उमालेर खानु पर्ला
महिलाको जनसहभागिता बढाउनु पर्यो
वृक्षारोपण गर्नु पर्यो
सबभन्दा पहिला त खाने पानीको मुहान नै सफा हुन पर्यो
जनचेतनामूलक कार्यक्रम राख्नु पर्यो
पानीको स्रोत संरक्षण गर्नु पर्यो
तीनै तहको सरकारले खाने पानीलाई अलिक प्राथमिकता दिनुपर्छ.
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And here's the question: what should be done to ensure the effective implementation of the election code of conduct and by whom? Your options: option A, honesty from political parties; option B, active role of election commission; and option C, awareness of the voters. The voting is on. Type NAWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. And time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
Nepal women's football team forward Sabitra Bhandari has been adjudged the best female sportsperson of the decade, while former Nepal cricket captain Paras Khadka has been voted the sportsperson of the decade. Bhandari has scored 38 goals for Nepal and is the leading goal scorer for the country, while Khadka has been instrumental in uplifting the standard of cricket in Nepal. Both the athletes were recognized for their contributions at the 18th edition of the Nepal Sports Journalists Forum or NSJF Awards. Meanwhile, the men's national football team has been declared the team of the year, while former cricket coach Jagat Tamata has been awarded the coach of the decade and paddler Alina Maharjan has won the People's Choice Award. Sarita Thulung was felicitated with the Para-Athlete Award, while AIPS President Satam Al-Sahali received the Asian Sports Journalist Award. Meanwhile, former member secretary of the National Sports Council Sharad Chandra Shah has been posthumously awarded with Lifetime Achievement Award. The special awards went to athlete Pushpa Bhandari and Dr. Ajay Rana. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.